John Lynch went on the radio this morning and, was asked about the future of the team. And he's the spokesman, at least unofficial. Well, yeah, he's sort of the official spokesman. And he said, we've got to get back to where we belong, and that's competing for championships. I wholly and strongly believe that we've got the group in place to do that. A lot of circumstances that happened this year, and then us just not taking care of business. It's hard to overcome, but still we had so many opportunities this year and we just didn't get it done. And so you really dig down deep and you look at how you fix some of the things that have been ailing you. How do you add? Rosters never stay the same in today's football. They're ever changing. So how are we going to best improve the team? Then he says, and so you've got to be real thoughtful. And that process is always ongoing. There's so many different ways to procure talent, whether it be for free agency, draft, moves we're making. Here at the end of the year to get people on for next year, all those things are ongoing. Where is the part where he says reset? Hold on, give me a second, because he's just BSing over here. Okay. I can tell you that while this is not a place that anyone wants to be, I feel a lot of excitement from Kyle. The opportunity to have a whole offseason as opposed to a very expedited one because you've played in the Super Bowl, where you can really focus on, okay, what is the root? What is at the root? Lynch said, we can go back and look at all the film deep in depth and from a schematic standpoint. The coaches can do that. I think it's a good opportunity for a nice reset for this team, and I feel very optimistic about where we can go. What do you think about that?
I feel like he's trying to serve two masters. One is that he doesn't want to lose the locker room. He is the face of the team, and I mean the face of the organization. I feel like Kyle's the face of the team. There's a difference. For me, I see that John knows that this offseason, it's undeniable. They're going to have to trim the fat, but they're going to have to go in with a scalpel and not an axe. We're going to have to really figure out who's going to be viable, what they can keep, what they need to lose moving forward. One of the biggest things that I find a little rich is that in that effort to do that, I don't think that that's pointing towards a championship effort. I think that that's just getting your team together, right? The thing about it is that I don't know where our floor is, right? How bad are we as far as finishing out this season? Who's going to come back? Who did just need a reset? Who is never going to be the same again, right? Is Trent Williams, or can we count on Trent Williams for a full season ever again, right? Is Brandon Ayuk, when he comes back, still Brandon Ayuk, right? Moving forward with Christian McCaffrey, same question. So for me, I feel as though that they're still trying to push this Super Bowl championship window. This was a misstep, not a setback. And quite honestly, I think the common denominator over all of this is a mulligan. We're business as usual.
I just think the revisionist history is amazing here. Like, it's not just that they had injuries, and John Lynch alluded to that a couple of weeks ago. It's not just that they had injuries. And so the root cause that he was searching for, he's been looking for the root cause. He's been searching for it like Indiana Jones was searching for the Holy Grail, and he's found it. Mm-hmm. And the root cause is they didn't have enough time this offseason. The offseason was too short, that Kyle Shanahan couldn't go back and do the self-assessment and look at the schemes and evolve. Really. Because his offseason was like, I mean, the Chiefs had the same amount of time.
Come on, man.
Chiefs had the same amount of time. I love how the Niners give themselves these excuses like, oh, injuries. Well, the Lions had injuries. Oh, well, we had a short offseason. Well, the Chiefs had a short offseason. Like, you really are telling me that Kyle Shanahan didn't have time to do the self-assessment last year, or he just didn't do it?
So I don't think he didn't do it, man.
He just didn't do it. And so now you have more time, and he's not going to do it because he has more time. He's going to do it because he's 6-10. And if he doesn't do it and he goes 6-10 or 6-11 again, a lot of people could get fired, including him and John.
100%. I mean, my biggest thing with Kyle is that over the 8 years of him being head coach, I think we need to start recognizing that Kyle is just not prepared. He can get a scheme together, right? He can look at the best laid plans of what he needs to do to move forward. But as far as just understanding what happens contemporaneously in the moment, I just don't think that he's away. I don't think he's possible of adjusting. And one of the reasons why I don't think he's capable of adjusting is that I think that Kyle lacks self-awareness. I really do. I don't think he knows how to read the room in the moment, right? And calibrate who he is and what he's doing at the time. I mean, and we see it in many different facets, Grant. It's not just the games, right? Ultimately where we see it the most, but it's in press conferences. It's in dealing with simple softball questions that you should be able to answer. So for me, they've got to change, but I don't necessarily, I think this is more fodder for people who were listening. There's no such thing as they don't need a reset. They need a rebuild. And there's a difference.
Yeah, and a reset doesn't feel like it's not like a roster reset. Like they'll fill in around the edges, they'll get a new kicker, but it's a mental reset, which is amazing because again, it's like doubling down on your core. He said he has, what did he say? Got the utmost. I strongly believe that we've got the group in place to do that. Like, so what you're saying is it's no one's fault. It's none of the highest paid people in the organization's fault. Players, coaches, GMs. It was just they had a short offseason. And there are injuries, and they won't have a short offseason next year, and they won't have injuries next year, and the schedule will be easier, and there won't be tragedies. Like they're gonna have better luck, and they're gonna run it back. That's what I'm hearing. Let's run it back again.
It's almost kind of like instead of assessing what happened, they're kind of lumping it all together and saying this can't be real. This can't happen again. Like, there's no way that all of this is going to happen again. All we really need, the biggest thing that we need is we just need an offseason. We need to get everybody back in the room, everybody healthy, and roll the ball out again. And let's just, like I said, a mulligan. Like, this year didn't even count. And I disagree with that approach. I do believe that this season signifies some wholesale changes that need to be made on a lot of different levels, not just with players, with the coaching staff as well.
Let's juxtapose the Niners with the Eagles, right? So the Eagles were a year ahead. They lost the Super Bowl. They come back last year, and they have an awful season, right?
Horrible year.
11-6. Oh, my freaking God. Just awful. And they lose in the playoffs, but they made it. And then Nick Sirianni's put on freaking notice. He has to make major changes. Not like, oh, it was just one of those things. Let's not overreact. No. Make major freaking changes. And then if they don't work right away, you're gone. And they worked. Meanwhile, on the they went 6 and potentially 11, maybe 7 and 10, and the Niners are over here being like, let's not react to this season at all.
At all.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I just think that they want grace from past success, from going to the Super Bowl, going to NFC Championship games, and really, I think the biggest thing is that we're not. I think what they're saying is that, hey, we're the same team that you believe us to be. Give us more time. But, everybody's going to be older. You don't get to freeze this, and other teams are going to get stronger. I think that it's time for them to have some serious rebuild efforts moving forward in the offseason. Like that offensive line, that's not a reset. That's a rebuild. That defensive line is not going to be a reset. That is a rebuild, okay? Like that receiving core, don't look now, but whatever we do with Debo plus whatever Brandon Ayuk is, that's going to be a rebuild. So there's no way that, what they've done in the offseason? They've been like a la carte shoppers. They shop for recipes. Oh, we need this. We need a Isaac Guerrero. Let's trade up to go get this guy. We need a slot receiver in Ricky Pearsall, right? We need a specific guy for a specific. We need a Drake Jackson who could just come in and play the other side of the edge. Forget the fact that the kid doesn't have any type of ability or any other thing but just getting off the ball and doing backflips. But we need this guy for this skill set, right? It's time for them to go back and start building the base again because their base is weak. They can't just pick anymore. You can't.
And comparing these organizations, the Niners and the Eagles, the Sirianni, I feel like most Niner fans think Kyle's better than Sirianni, and he might be. But what's interesting about the organizational structure of the Eagles is there's so much pressure on Sirianni all the time. Like, oh, you've never had a losing, you've never missed a playoff, cool. Like, we will fire your ass. Like, we fired Doug Peterson 2 years after he won the freaking Super Bowl. Like, you're constantly on the hot seat here. And I don't know, maybe that brings out the best in him. He's always under pressure, whereas Kyle Shanahan is the most comfortable 6-10 coach I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, I think the biggest thing for, if I could speak to the East Coast kind of flavor of sports, is that it's not about winning as much as it is about accountability. Like, people want to be proud of their sports team. Oh, you know what I mean? And if your sports team is a joke and you got some guy in there who's like completely sullying the name of the organization and he doesn't care. Like, the organization, they got to live there. The coaches are just mainstays, right? And those cities are small, bro. So you can't be the Eagles in Philly bad too long before people just start saying, I'm going to go see the Sixers. Like, I'm going to go see the Flyers. Like, I don't have to watch this. I'll take the drive and go see Pittsburgh. I'll go see the Steelers, right? So I feel like the Niners have a captive audience, and they get away with a lot because of that.